Good afternoon. Stephanie Bullock and Julian Kosloff, and representing the Warrnambool Library and Learning. Yeah, it is.
So this project grapples with two fundamental questions, I guess. The first of those is, can public architecture be a real agent for change within a regional community? And the second one is, how might we breathe new life into a heritage context through a contemporary lens?
So the Warrnambool Library and Learning Centre is in Warrnambool. It's a beach town, west of Melbourne, on the Great Ocean Road. So the project was jointly funded by the Victorian Government, Warrnambool City Council and South West TAFE, so it had a very complex client structure.
It's replaced the existing Warrnambool Library, which is shown in green on the right of that slide there, with a much larger space in the heart of Warrnambool CBD. The new library is located on the South West TAFE campus and now provides facilities for both local community and the South West TAFE students and staff.
So at the start of the project, we undertook a whole range of siting and massing studies to work out exactly where it could go, because it was able to go anywhere within the site. And this was evaluated by the whole sort of the client group, but also the extended consultant team. And this really considered, as part of that, the broader impact on the open space within the campus, but also opportunities for strategic connection to the context in which it's sat. It's worth noting there are 9 heritage listed buildings on this site, and 8 of them are considered to be of state significance. And the potential to utilise these existing buildings was considered as part of that siting study, and the consensus was reached that the best option would be to utilise the largest heritage listed building on site, the Audley Room, which you can see in blue, dates back to 1869, and then extend this with a new 3-storey contemporary addition.
So there were 2 key site strategies that informed the full resolution of our design. The first of those on the left, which was a connection through the building and campus back up to the central CBD to the north. And the second of those, maintaining a north-south connection through the campus with an internal laneway that separates the Audley Room, the historic building, and our contemporary extension to the right of that.
So this is the site plan. So you can see, as well as the built form work, there was an extensive intervention within the site, which included works to both of the street frontages, because it fronts onto both Kosloff Street and also Gillies Street. We worked with Glass as the landscape architects on the project. And so it includes creating new street frontages, but also that new sort of pathway from the north that also navigates a significant level change. So you can see there the Audley Room is the structure on the left, and the new contemporary addition is the one on the right. So this shows the eastern entry to the site, which is adjacent to the police residence building, you can see in the foreground. And it was a strategic decision, as we mentioned, to create a pathway to the building that followed that natural desire line from the CBD, rather than entering directly off the street from Gillies Street. And this also allowed for the creation of a really generous children's garden to the east of the building as well. You can see here, as you move through this pathway from Gillies Street, that pedestrians are being drawn basically into the heart of the campus, or what's considered to be the community heart of the campus. And there's a new public plaza that's created that sits to the north of our building, and also intersects directly with that north-south laneway that you would have seen on the earlier diagrams.
So the building's always read against or through its heritage context, you know, through sort of various pathways through our site. So, I've lost this there.
That's all right, and then this is another of those new pathways. This is coming from Kosloff Street, so the idea is that it's created all these different ways that you can kind of approach not just the building, but also the heart of the campus.
The Audley Room and the contemporary extension are knitted together with this new insertion, which is a grand stair. So the glazed linkway between the two draws light into the centre of the building and provides a clear distinction between these two elements. The grand stair is or bridge, as we've described in the past, operates in a similar performative manner to the original stage within this room, with landings offering space enough for seating and performances. It's the return of the speaker's corner, if you like. And then the linkway, which is a ground floor urban connector, but also acts as a light well between these two entities, and a visual link to that surrounding heritage context.
So just really briefly talking through the building itself. So the ground floor houses the main entry to the library, which is through the Audley Room on the left from Kosloff Street. It has a café, a jobs and skills centre, and part of the collection, largely the children's collection, which you can see on the right-hand side. As you move up to the middle level, so you can go up via that grand stair or up through another central stairwell in the contemporary building, and this has a youth zone, media training, sound booths, and also the non-fiction collection within the library as well. And then as you move to the top floor, this is the fiction collection, but it also includes a very generous reading space and event space that has quite spectacular views out towards the ocean.
So our building acts as a foil against that adjacent heritage-listed context, from which it's clearly different but has the same investment in detailing and articulation. The sandy precast panels of our contemporary edition reference the repainted orderly building, which is seen in the foreground of the slide. The contemporary extension's lifted off the ground, and I guess in a gesture that's sort of generous and inviting to visitors. Exterior material pallet drawers and local vernacular sandstone and limestone, which was either salvaged from openings made in the existing building or locally quarried.
So you can see here, this is the orderly room as it was originally constructed. It's been used for many different things over time, and when we started the project it was being used by South West TAFE for sort of training and education, also office spaces as well. The exterior shell was largely intact, but there have been multiple fairly awful interventions within it and also to the outside of it as well, and they were all removed as part of the design as well. And so as mentioned before, the building is now the new front door, and it's really activated Kosloff Street in a way that wasn't previously happening. So you can see here, this is the internal space, so this is the main new public kind of space that you move into off Kosloff Street as well. It's a true civic space, which is what this building was originally, and the ceiling's been restored, but the walls have been left with the original patina. In terms of, I guess, impact, so South West TAFE student attendance has increased dramatically, library membership, visitors, participation in library learning programs, and also loans as well. So there's been a really significant community impact, but also a great impact for South West TAFE. I want to talk a little bit about ceilings because it does have a relationship to the urban context. So they're referencing not just the existing orderly room ceiling, but also the broader context, because Warrnambool was designed by Robert Hoddle. There's a grid. So there is an idea about this idea of the grid that's been echoed. Obviously references the ceiling within the orderly room, but then we're intentionally trying to extend an existing architectural relationship with the city and then using that to bind the heritage building and the contemporary building together. So what's happening is that this ceiling is then being manifested in different ways on different levels. And then, as I said, also as you move up through the building, obviously you can see Warrnambool through various openings in the façade. And it's also worth noting that this idea of the kind of ornate ceiling is something that you see in broader Warrnambool as well. So you can see that along all sorts of soffits through the whole city. This idea of ornamental pressed tin, corrugated metal, timberline soffits, it is a local vernacular language that is manifesting well beyond our project.
Ground floor with its scallop ceiling referencing the orderly room. Middle level.
Sorry.
Sure, folded concertina surface. So again, the linear nature of this is linking it back to that orderly room idea. And then finally, the top floor with a coffered ceiling, another contemporary manifestation of that. So there was a decision earlier on to utilise a rectilinear floor plate, and that was in response to an incredibly tight site, but also a budgetary constraint. And around this is a precast concrete façade, which has been strategically peeled back to create either opportunities of occupation inside or curating these views to the surrounding context. So its depth creates this kind of diffused light internally, defines areas for reading and reflection. These create vignettes to the immediate heritage fabric and on the lower levels. So creating moments of compression and closure, reminiscent of domesticity, while still allowing occupants to engage with the city beyond.
So at night the ceilings are visible from all the surrounding streets and pathways, and they basically glow and draw people towards the building. We think the success of this project lies in its generosity. It's provided the whole community with access to one of the most significant heritage precincts and buildings in Warrnambool, and has caused a demonstrable improvement in terms of community outcomes. And we think it really demonstrates the ability for public architecture to deliver meaningful change within a regional city, but also through an architecture of generosity, but also a really deep respect for context and community.